Hey guys, it's Archie. I'm back for the ADHD Care podcast. I hope I find you well today. I have a special guest joining me virtually all the way from Canada. I've got Cassandra Aarssen. She is the founder of Clutterbug. So me and Cassandra met at the recent international conference on ADHD a few months ago in the US of A, in Baltimore. Uh, Cassandra was one of the keynote speakers at that conference, and yeah, so excited to chat with her and to bring her onto this podcast platform. So, bit of a background. So, Cassandra, she's an author. As I said, she's the founder of Clutterbug. So, she helps thousands and thousands of people out there who struggle with organization and just decluttering. She's got a YouTube channel. She's a TV personality, and also she has her own podcast. So we are discussing all things getting organized, decluttering, and I know some of you have already sent me some questions to pose to Cassandra, which I will be doing shortly as soon as I bring it onto our platform.
Hi, Archie. I'm so sorry I missed last time. Listen, ADHD is a thing, man, and I'm a disaster. So,
Abs- Tell you what, absolutely a pleasure to still have you. I'm glad that we managed to reschedule it, and we're here now. So, how's your week been? How's the new year been for you?
it's been really good. Yeah. Just chugging along over here. I've been unmedicated off my ADHD medication since right before Christmas. So, it's been wild, man. You kind of I was diagnosed 4 years ago and I've been on medication for the past 4 years. So this is my first time kind of going back and you really realize the difference.
Yeah, I can imagine
I'm
that.
struggling. I'm
Right.
struggling a bit, but that's okay.
Is there any particular reason why you're not on the medication currently?
Yeah, so I discovered I have a hole in my heart that I was born with. And so stress was raising my blood pressure, and along with my ADHD medication that was raising my blood pressure, I was fainting and things. So we're working on looking at medication that's maybe a non-stimulant going forward or adjusting the dosage. I just have patiently waiting for my doctor to come up with a plan.
Yeah, I can just imagine how it must have been a struggle. The fact that you were on it before and you could see the difference that it was making, and then coming off it must have been like clear as day and
Yeah.
night.
You know what? To be honest, it's been very subtle. So it when I take medication, it's not like boom, limitless, where it's like and everything's clear. I'm just less distracted, more focused. So what I find I'm doing is like, where am I? Why am I in this room? What was I doing again? Forgetting everything. And it is like it's a very subtle shift, but it's having a huge impact on my life.
Yeah, yeah, I can just imagine that. Is that impacting on your the organization side of things, which obviously what we're here to talk about? Are you seeing any
Yeah.
differences as far as that's concerned? Are you finding that you're slipping a little bit and not and as on top of your organization as you were before?
You know what? The great thing about my home is that it's set up in a way that is effortless no matter how stressed I am, no matter so I'm not seeing a difference because I literally have clutter catchers all over my house that kind of adapt for where I suck at organization and make up for how I suck at organization. And then I have timers that go off all throughout the day to remind me to pick up and to do these little tasks. So my brain and my home are really on autopilot when it comes to like the day-to-day things, which is
Yeah.
the only way I'm able to maintain any type of organization.
Yeah, yeah. If we could maybe start in terms of you sharing your journey with ADHD and
Yeah.
how you became the organization consultant or expert.
Yeah, I guess we didn't really start this. We just jumped right in. Do you want me to introduce myself or
Yes, we did actually. Yeah, say that. I did do an introduction before you came on anyway. I was just kind of blabbering around for about 3 minutes. But certainly, yeah, for anyone that's not familiar with your work and who you are, certainly from us in the UK, I don't think a lot of us are, well, some of us anyway. I'm familiar with your work because obviously I met you at the conference last year because you were obviously one of the keynote speakers there. But so yeah, certainly for anyone that hasn't heard about you and your amazing work in this ADHD world, do you want to say a bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much. This is the year where I'm really wanting to join the ADHD community and get more involved. The truth is, I don't know a lot about ADHD, just that I have it. But what I'm hearing from people who, because I'm talking about organization, this is my huge passion. Like, as a recovering super slob, now that I'm talking about organization, I hear so many people saying, this is one of my biggest struggles. And I can relate because for the first 30 years of my life, you couldn't find anything. Like, I'm talking paths from my door to my sofa, path to the fridge, path to my bed, waist high levels of clutter everywhere. And even when I was decluttering and kind of getting a handle on it, day to day adulting is just hard for me. Always has been hard for me. Putting things away when I'm done with them, virtually impossible. Finding things, crazy hard. Coming up with cleaning schedules, sticking with things. Do not put me in a box and make me do structured things. Those things, I just really struggle with that. So finding a way to work with my brain instead of against my brain when it came to home management and home organization was truly like a light bulb moment for me. And I never expected this to turn into a career. It was honestly just, I was doing it for myself. I found that I need a less organized macro approach to managing my stuff. I need to be able to shoot things in a basket like a basketball player in order to maintain tidy. I was so passionate about this because I saw how it affected my life. I started, like, my best friend, I'm like, I'm going to do your house. And then my mom, I'm going to do your house. And
Yeah.
eventually I ran out of people. And then people started like calling friends of friends and family of friends. And before I knew it, I had like a little business going on. And it just continued to grow from there into this incredible thing that I have now, which also developed like organization isn't one size fits all. And they're really, you could put yourself in four quadrants, and I call those the four clutter bugs, but it's also a scale. So it's finding what works for you so that organizing feels effortless.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people will be thinking like, okay, you got ADHD and you're focusing like your career now is on organization. And that's one of the challenges that a lot of people with ADHD struggle with. But then you found your niche in that field. That's interesting in itself, isn't it? That you're, helping other people to get organized. Which I know for most people, even the ones that don't have ADHD, struggle generally with decluttering. Some people are hoarders. Um, how do you cross that from having ADHD, which brings in itself some disorganization and just misplacing things and all of that, and then having this career where you are organized? How do you flip between the two?
I'll tell you how. First of all, I will never be a meticulously organized person. I am not that. I am not a detailed person. I never will be. But you don't have to be an organized person. And that was the real light bulb for me. I'm still a hot mess disaster, but everything has a home and it goes back in that home. And that was like, that's what my business is all about. It's teaching people you don't have to do it the way we think it's supposed to be done. That's not for everyone. That is for some people. Your brain works different. Let's adapt your home for your brain. So that's kind of how I work with my ADHD is I literally work with my ADHD and do it that way. But the other side of that is once I realized that I organized differently and once I started seeing success, it was like I would do a small I remember like it was yesterday doing my sock drawer for the first time using cut up Kleenex boxes. I was like a little crackhead, okay? I was like, so much dopamine. This is a look at my drawer. I would do my junk drawer and I would look at it. I'm like, that is staying tidy. It feels so good. So giving myself little wins, little success, instead of organizing my entire kitchen at once, taking everything out and trashing it, getting halfway done, getting bored, and
Yeah.
having now it worse, I would do one drawer and I would celebrate that success. It became really addicting. And I think with every aspect of my business, I take that same approach, is breaking big tasks down into really tiny things and like getting it. Like, ooh, I won that. Yeah, look at I did this. Look at I did that. And that keeps me really hyper focused because I'm so passionate about the success, like little tiny wins.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people I speak to, they talk about it's mentally draining, just the thought about getting organized, or it's they feel burnt out, overwhelmed. People tend to have a day that they'll tidy up rather than as you go, which obviously leads things to pile up, which is even harder then to tackle if it's there's a lot of mountain of things that needs to be put away, or if it's laundry, could be anything, paperwork, and all of that. What would you suggest? You mentioned about tidying up as you go and having systems and things in place, which is the. Can do you want to explain to us to break down the kind of the clutter bugs, as you say, with 4 styles? Do you want to maybe explain to that to our listeners about
Yeah,
that?
I would love to. So
Yeah,
you can really break your organizing styles down into how you naturally sort and how you naturally store your things. So a lot of people love lots of categories, lots of details. I call those detailed organizers. And they want to stop and think, where does this pen go? I'm going to put it in the pen holder, not with the pencils. Or they'll stop and open a lid to put something away. They want lots of categories. And then there's the other half of us that, like, when we're done with something, we're not thinking even about the thing. We've already thought about something else and we're just tossing it. So I
yeah,
call those non detailed organizers. So you're either really detailed or you're non detailed. That kind of is the one half, and the other half is visual organizers versus non-visual organizers or hidden organizers. Visual organizers, it's out of sight, out of mind. They love to see their important things because subconsciously, if they hide it, they're going to forget they own it. And then the other half of the people really get stressed out by seeing a lot of stuff. They need things out of sight so that their mind is clear. And if you know if you're a detailed or non-detailed or a visual or hidden organizer, that makes up your style. So a butterfly, I call them a butterfly because they're visual. They love flowers, right? But they flutter around. There's no rhyme or reason. They are a visual, non detailed person, a laid back organizer. Then a bee, super visual. Think about flowers again, but bees are meticulous. They are like little detailed people. They never visit the same flower twice. They're really, really, really detailed people. So that's what a bee organizer is. A cricket, very meticulous, very detailed. I chose this bug to represent this style because crickets, when they rub their legs together, the sound they make is mathematical perfection. But you never actually see a cricket, right? They hide. So that represents the hidden organizer. And then we have the ladybug, which is hidden organizer. Everything looks nice on the outside, like their shell, the back of their shell, so beautiful.
yeah, yeah,
Then they
yeah.
open it up and it's like a hot mess under there. That's a ladybug's house. It looks nice, but it's like a disaster underneath. And when you know your style, I have a lot of ways that you can really design your home to work with your natural tendencies to catch your clutter.
How do you like? Obviously, if you have children and you've got a partner, yes, you can have this system, but how do you get everyone else on board with that, with
Yeah,
whatever
this is
style you choose?
I love it. I love the questions. These are good questions.
Yeah,
There's a golden rule. I call it the golden clutterbug rule. You definitely in the spaces you manage. So if you're the person who cooks most of the time and you're the person who manages, you organize for your style. But in shared spaces like entranceways or if you're like if everyone's using the same space, the golden rule is to default to the visual and the macro or non-detailed. So I should have said this. Micro is like a detailed person, macro is a non-detailed person. So we default to the visual and we default to the macro laid back organizer, which means butterflies always win, man. Butterflies win because it's almost impossible for a visual person to remember where things are if it's out of sight. So we have to keep things visual. And it's a lot easier for a detailed person to use a laid back system than it is to expect a laid back person to try to use a detailed system. So we default to the easiest system to use. And it doesn't have to look like mess and clutter to be visual. It just means labels, hooks instead of hangers, open shelving, like shallow trays, clear containers. You can still have a beautifully organized, clutter-free home and have it in this really visual, non-detailed approach.
And the point about children, if you have kids, how would you get them on board with that? I'm just thinking about myself if you're talking there, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm
Yes.
trying to see where I fit in those categories, but yeah, how
You
does that
might
work?
be, you know what, you might be a combination. I have to say, like, and you might be a different bug in a different space in your house. So, like,
Yeah,
don't think you have to, it isn't Hogwarts up in here. Like, you don't have to be placed in. But that being said, almost all children are butterflies. They're very visual. It's very out of sight, out of mind. You take a toy, you hide it, they'll forget they own it, right? But they're not taking time to put things away in a detailed way. So, what this looks like is children are not going to put their shoes in the closet on the shoe shelf. You can either take the doors off or get them a big basket to kick their shoes into. Children aren't going to use hangers to hang up their coat unless you're doing a lot of structured training. So just have a row of hooks for them to put their coat and backpack on. Children can't use toy boxes. It's not visual enough. They're just going to dump it out to find the toy that they need. So go with a sorted bin system with picture labels. So all the cars go in this bin with a big, all the dolls go in this bin, all the food goes in this, like the play food goes in this bin, and use big picture labels. That way it's visual for them, but it's macro sorted. So they know where things are, but it's really easy to put away. And last, like, I ditched the dresser. Dressers do not work for children putting their clothes away. Children aren't structured enough to fold and put things in a neat way. So, what we do, if you can see behind me, if you're listening to this podcast, you can't, but go with a big cube shelf, like a Calyx cube shelf from IKEA or something like that, with big fabric or plastic bins so they can chuck their clothing in. And then also, if you take that all the way to the ceiling, it's the same floor space as a dresser, but now they have spots to display Lego or trophies or their stuffed animals. So you're really maximizing the space, but creating a system that works for a non detailed brain. And if you're an adult, ditch the dresser, man. If
really?
it doesn't, yeah, absolutely. If you are not a person, if you're like struggling to put your clothes away and all your clothes
Yeah,
are
yeah,
piled on top of the dresser, ditch the dresser. Go with a cube shelf instead, because what we do is we pull all the cubes out on the floor. We sit with our laundry basket, we toss things in like a basketball, and then we
yeah.
shove the cube back in. You don't have to fold. Why are you folding? I don't fold.
You don't have to fold. I thought you had, even with the cubes.
What? What are you talking about? There's no folding. That's why we use
Why
a
not?
cube because it's big and deep. So we don't have
Right.
to fold and
But it's
things aren't
hard to
getting
find things in there if
compressed.
it's not folded. Like it's just a
But
big
here's
mass,
the
isn't it?
but it isn't. No, because
No?
listen, it's a
Okay.
macro system. You might be a
Right.
little more detailed. The fact that you're resisting this and not like you might be
Yeah.
more micro, I mean, you might be a more detailed person. The fact that
Yeah.
I'm feeling some resistance here. You
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
be a detailed person. So listen, if you're a bee or a cricket, don't you dare chuck your clothes in. That'll drive you nuts. But for a lot of us like me, if it's pajamas, if it's underwear, if it's socks, if it's workout gear, if it's things that people aren't going to see and it's not going to get wrinkled, Why would I take the time to structurally fold it? But the secret is having those sorted containers. You're not chucking your pajamas in with your workout gear. There's one bin for workout, there's one bin for pajamas, there's one bin for socks and underwear, or something like that. So it isn't all a hodgepodge of mess inside, it's that category. And the beautiful thing is, macro organizers don't mind taking a second to look for what they need. We need to put it away fast. Whereas micro organizers don't mind taking a few seconds to put things away properly. They have to find it fast. So that's really the big difference. Do you need to put it away fast, or do you want to find it fast? You don't mind taking a second to look, or do you not mind taking a second to put it away? That's knowing the difference in yourself is key.
Yeah.
Let's talk about medicine for a second, right? Listen, if I need an aspirin because I got a raging headache, I don't mind digging in the medicine bin to find the aspirin. I need to be able to throw it back in when I'm done. Whereas
Yeah.
other people, they want all the aspirin here, the pain relievers, antacids, allergy medications, so they can quickly identify it. That really
Yeah.
is, yeah, the main difference there. So what do you think you are? Are you detailed or non-detailed?
I'm detailed. Not
Yeah.
not to the point where I have to fold socks and underwear and stuff like that. No, not to that degree. But to
Yes.
some extent, I'm more I like to know where things are. I wouldn't be going for the Kallax box, like the no,
Yeah,
that's
no,
not me.
because you're a more structured
Yeah,
organizer. But you know what?
yeah,
This comes with its own, can I say that doesn't mean you're always going to be tidy. Because when you're a micro detailed person, you often wait till you can do it perfectly later. So you'll tend to pile or procrastinate until you can do it like the way you want to do it. So you'll leave that
yeah,
basket of clothes until you have time to fold it right, or you'll stack
yeah,
those papers until you have time to put
yeah.
them away later. So every style has its own challenges that we need to overcome, but knowing yourself means like you that's it's about self-awareness when it comes to home organization so you can set up the right system.
Let's talk about your TV show, Hot
Yes.
Mess. Yeah. Which how many series did you do?
I did two series. One was virtual because of COVID. So that was
Okay.
crazy weird at the last
How
minute.
did you do that?
Yeah, I was supposed to be going to New York to all
Yeah.
of these homes that were already chosen, and we were like
Right.
going to get in there, but then I couldn't leave the country. I'm Canadian. The
Right.
families were already chosen. The network was already on board. So what do? You adapt. And what we did was we mailed all these families GoPros and they filmed themselves, and I coached them virtually through Zoom, and I filmed through Zoom, and we recorded the Zoom. And then, yeah, I just coached. I was on call with them for like 10 hours a day, just helping them. Okay, do you need this, or this goes there and this goes there? And then finally, they surprised me. They would do the final touches and the final organization based on advice that I gave them, and surprised me through Zoom. And let me tell you, that season got more views, more people tuned into a Zoom television show filmed
Yeah.
on GoPros by people who had never even used a camera before. We got more views than any other show on HGTV. We even beat the Property Brothers. So
Wow.
that was amazing for us, just such an accomplishment. And then the second season, we were able to actually go into homes and do more renovation, and the surprising thing was people preferred the Zoom virtual format, which
Really?
was really, I
That's
think it was,
interesting, I suppose. Yeah, no, I was just
yeah.
gonna say that you don't have a film crew, like someone there with you, kind of like watching what you're doing, kind of feels like someone is there. Whereas if it's you're filming it on your own, they've got you there as someone who's they can consult and they can get some your experts guidance and things, which you can kind of see why. But either way, so when you filmed the in-person one, how did that go? And what was the sort of the feedback?
So the in-person one, I mean, I think initially the homeowners loved that more because I came in and decluttered with them, and then I kicked them out. They went to hotels and we completely renovated their space. They got really high-end transformations. And you think even from a viewer perspective that that's traditional ADHD, beautiful before and afters, right? But what we found 6 months later was those homes got messy again. And yes, they got this beautiful makeover and this beautiful renovation, but the organization didn't stick. Whereas with the first season, they did it all themselves, just with coaching. They trained themselves to do it. They did the work. They were empowered. And what we found with them 6 months, a year, I mean, I'm still in contact with those families. They did their whole house. It's staying tidy. They were motivated and empowered, and they knew the skills to be organized people. And for fans watching at home, they were more inspired to tackle their own space, seeing somebody do it by themselves too, as opposed to just like mindlessly watching these beautiful makeovers. So that for me was like, wow, that shocked me,
Yeah,
the feedback. And it changed a little bit how I do my business as well. As
yeah,
an organizer, it's more effective for me to coach virtually than it is for me to be in someone's home and do the work for them.
makes sense. So for people that often in the UK we didn't have access to it, can people watch it back at all or get access to it? The Hot
Yeah,
Mess TV
so
show.
I think yes, you can rent Hot Mess House on iTunes, I think, like Apple iTunes. You can rent it.
Right.
Amazon Prime, I think you can rent it. And if you have Discovery Plus, it's included in the Discovery Plus. So you can watch it that way. I wish it was on YouTube, but I mean, I don't own the
Yeah.
rights to it. So that's kind of a bummer. Yeah.
Or Netflix at some point, maybe.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
never know.
I on my Clutterbug YouTube, I do a lot of virtual makeovers there, and I have a lot of makeovers that you can watch. They're not as good because I didn't have the budget and the refinedness, but if you love watching like organizing makeovers, I have a whole playlist dedicated to like hundreds of clients that I've worked with and filmed.
Excellent. Let's talk about your 30-day organizing program. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yes.
And particularly with a focus on ADHD.
Yeah, so I had a course called Take Your House Back, and what we started doing was all day declutters live. And I brought boot camp cast to these. I was like, come on, let's get up, get moving, get that bag, put the stuff in. It was really like a boot camp style approach. And I did this with other women, and some were like gentle approach. And what we found was that boot camp style really works for some people. Some people need gentle encouragement. Some people need a kick in the butt and a shove off a cliff into their pile of crap. And
Yeah,
so, because the feedback was so good, I was like, I want to create a program where every day for 30 days, I'm yelling at you. We're tackling another space for 30 minutes. It's not a big thing. And I'm bringing the energy, the boot camp, get up, get started. And what I found is this is really effective for ADHDers because it's like the dopamine rush. We're like, okay, let's get up, let's get moving. And when we have a deadline of 30 minutes, and when we are like energized and excited about something, we will crush the world. We
100%.
will
Yeah.
move mountains.
Yep.
So, yeah, for ADHDers, that like condensed, intense approach to organization with a short amount of time where we can visualize the end and we can complete something has been really, really effective.
Amazing. Amazing. Is that on your website? Can people read more about it, get access to it?
Yeah, if you could also just Google like Clutterbug 30-day organizing boot camp, and it's on the
Yeah.
website as well under courses. Scroll down. I mean, it's hard to find. I'm not great with the businessy stuff. Okay, I'm not great with that. But if you if you Google the 30-day organizing boot camp, you'll find it. It's $1 a day. It's only 30
Yeah.
bucks. And
Right.
listen, if it doesn't work for you, it's money back guarantee because I hate charging. I'm not the person. I don't like charging for things, but absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
give it a try if you want a little screaminess. If that's not your thing, that don't buy that boot camp. But yeah.
Yeah. You've worked with so many individuals, you've supported families, lots of people out there, thousands. Are there any cases or one case that or project that you've done that you would mind sharing with us, which is very kind of memorable, whereby there was organizational issues and how you went about it and what was the success with that project.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I have so many, but I I think okay, let me think. There's Matt and Amy. That was hugely transformational. I went in originally to do their basement, which was a storage room, and then noticed their bedroom was kind of messy too. And so I said, "Can I do your storage room and then also do your bedroom?" And Amy was recently diagnosed with ADHD before I came in, and so embarrassed of her space, so embarrassed of her home that she rarely had people over. It really isolated her from her friends and her family. And now that I keep in touch, she's like insanely loving organization and her home. She has so much more confidence. She decided to go back to work after being really like an introverted person who didn't leave her home and had severe anxiety attacks. The pride, not only did she open up her home and allow people in, but she started leaving more because her confidence in herself grew so much. And I see this again and again, especially with women. The state of our home really affects our self esteem because it feels like a reflection of us, and perhaps for men as well, but traditionally women are supposed to be homemakers. We're supposed to be good at this. So when we struggle, it's a real like knock on our confidence and our self-esteem and our self-worth. And so I've seen so many of my clients, it doesn't just change the way your house looks and functions, it changes how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
It changes every other aspect of your life when you get your home under control. And it's beautiful to have some small part of that. And I keep in contact with my clients afterwards and seeing their personal growth. It's like a catalyst, right? It's like a springboard for the rest of your life when you can get your home under control.
And for yourself personally, I hope you don't mind me asking, what system do you use for yourself in your own house? Because obviously, you've told us what you do to help everyone out there, but what's your setup like, and how do you get everyone else
Yeah.
on board? Have you got children at all by any chance?
I do. I have three children. Yeah, I have three
Okay.
children. So
Yeah.
I'm a ladybug. And what
Right.
that means is I don't want to see a lot of my stuff, but also I'm not a detailed person. So I have open bins, huge open labeled bins all throughout my house where I just chuck things into categories. I have a snack box. I just chuck all the snacks in. I have a breakfast thing. I just chuck all the breakfast food in. I don't fold my clothing. So I have lots of baskets, open baskets in my closet. I don't have a dresser. And when I put laundry away, I just throw them all in like, this is PJs, this is socks, this is underwear. That really, really works for me. I also have a really good landing zone and launch pads. When I walk in my house, I have a spot for the purse, I have a spot for keys, I have a spot for my wallet, I have a spot to charge my phone because if I don't, I will lose it. And this really works for me. But my kids are super visual. So we got rid of the closet in the entranceway. We just took it out and just had a wall of hooks and little cubbies where they can kick their shoes into. Um, Setting up a system like this has kept
Yeah.
my house really, really tidy. But I'm going to tell you the secret. The biggest secret that changed my life is a 15-minute nighttime tidy up where we have alarms that remind us we have to do it. It's called a non negotiable, which is very effective for ADHDers because if we give ourselves an inch, we'll take a mile. So I cannot go to bed and my family we cannot watch TV actually after dinner until we've done the nighttime tidy up. And then I have a 5-minute alarm that reminds me in the day just to do a 5-minute tidy up. And why this is important to do it every day is muscle memory.
Mm.
This this trains you, man, to be a
Right.
tidy person because every day when that alarm goes up, I run around and I'm like, oh man, I got to put this back in the drawer and this back in the drawer and this back in the drawer and this back in here and this back in this basket and this. And after a couple of, it takes a couple of weeks of like putting something back in the home every day. When I'm done with this now, without thinking, completely without thinking, I'm putting it back in the home without the alarm. And so is my family because of muscle memory, because we've repeatedly done it every day grudgingly. Not we didn't want to, but we make ourselves because it's non negotiable, not till everything's clean, only for 15 minutes at night and a 5 minute once a day. It trained me, it trained my family to subconsciously put things away when we're done with them. This had the biggest impact on my life, and I recommend everyone give this a try. It's annoying as heck. I have
Yeah.
Alexas in every room that alert me. I want to snooze them. I hate them.
Yeah.
Um, but eventually I started looking around saying, oh, there's nothing to tidy during my 15-minute tidy up time. So I can do something else like quick mops or a little bit
Yeah.
of cleaning because there's nothing to put away because I've trained my brain to put it away when I'm done with it. That's bonkadonks. If you are a messy person, you know that that's bonkers to say
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but it truly, truly is possible.
Wow. I'd love to see how, I'm sure you showed us clips of a bit of your house. That clip that you posted on your Instagram recently about as you come in and I think you put some like hooks on just outside inside your as you come in into your entrance.
Garage, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So lots of tips, and I like how the messages that you put across on your social media. It's basic things that we take for granted that you think things that we just throw away and say, oh yeah, I'll look at, I'll do that later and stuff. But sometimes it takes a minute, a couple of minutes, as you said, to just put something as you come in after you've used it, rather than leaving it until the end of the day, the end of the week. And sometimes life gets in the way. Sometimes people work long hours and they've got lots of things to juggle. So time is also a factor, isn't it? Where you have to factor in what you just said in your normal day-to-day routine.
Yeah, you have to. It's a form of self-care. And I think for a long time, I was like, it's just a house. I don't want to be neurotic clean freak. Who cares? I got more important things to do. It doesn't really matter. But what I didn't realize was how much time I spent stuff shuffling, how much time I spent looking for stuff, how the house affected my self esteem and my self worth, even when people weren't coming over, but God forbid someone came over. It was horrible. And I don't have to clean all day long. I don't like I work less now than when I did when I was a total slob because it's little bits every day, and it's the keeping up on things once you get it decluttered and organized really does feel effortless.
Yeah.
But you have to be consistent and do it every day. That's the real secret. And I think we as ADHDers kind of ew structure. Don't put me in a box, man. I want to be free. This is freedom. That's the biggest takeaway from me is like just allow myself to do it crappy, but make sure I do it. Allow myself to just yeah, don't structure so much, but actually do it. It's a non-negotiable. Has changed my life. It's changed my life, man.
Mm.
I have so much more time and so much more confidence. Every aspect of my life improved, and I'm so passionate to teach other people
Yeah.
because it's a game changer.
I speak to lots of parents. They struggle with their young people, like their messy bedrooms and things. What advice would you give to the parents to get their young people motivated in tidying up?
Yes. So, first of all, your kids have too much stuff. You have too much stuff. So, you can't manage excess. There's no way you can do that. And it's not fair to put that on a kid. You walk into their messy room, you're like, clean this up. What does that even mean? Does that mean shove everything under my bed so you don't see it? Is that what clean means? No, because then you just pull it all out again and it gets messy within a day. So, the first step is you have to have less stuff. And a great thing for ADHDers is what's called the 21 item toss. Grab a bag or a box and find 21 things to leave forever. This is a magical number. It's freaking magic because it pushes you out of your comfort zone, but
Yeah.
it's a small enough number that you can do it in 5 minutes. But giving yourself that number and that deadline of things really is effective for our ADHD brain. So it's called a 21 item toss. Do it every single day till your place feels under control. And the second thing is adapt your child's room so that everything has a home that's obvious and easy to put away, which means get rid of the dresser probably. Lots of open baskets, no lids, lots of labels, lots of hooks. If they're piling their dirty clothes on the floor in a pile, that's where the laundry hamper goes, and get rid of the laundry hamper lid. Adapt the home to catch your clutter where you're naturally putting it down, and you're going to see really magical things happen.
Wow. Fascinating. Um, for parents, sometimes I think I think it's that whole notion of like the young person is responsible, they should be able to do it themselves. And what you find when they get to a certain age where they're about to go to university or college,
Yeah.
because because of the habits that they've had that haven't really been sort of addressed when they then go to college, it's obviously a nightmare because it's even worse because now they're having to then think, right, okay, I need to organize myself. And I see a lot of young people struggling with that transition,
Mm-hmm.
becoming a young adult, being independent, tidying up, all of this. So you talk about, decluttering as you go, but when is the best time to, because some people tend to leave it to, we do it in the summer or we do it during the school holidays. You suggest that you do it as you go, like
Yeah,
daily.
absolutely. Like
Yeah, yeah,
all the time. You should 100% have a donation bin in your closet. Every closet should have a donation bin at the bottom of the closet because kids will pull out a shirt and be like, "Ooh, I actually hate this shirt," or "It's too small." And what do they do with it? They put it in the dirty laundry and you wash it
yeah,
again and you put it back. So
yeah,
this has to be part of just, what's so frustrating is we teach people to clean, like you have to vacuum and you have to do dishes. Decluttering is part of cleaning your house and it should be done at least monthly. And there should be a big declutter every season. So when the seasons change, we do like a really big declutter. I think with children, the biggest thing that we can do is not let it go a whole week. If you let a kid only clean on the weekend, you are setting them up for failure because it's too much and it's too overwhelming. So, just like you wouldn't let your kid eat chocolate cake for breakfast because that's mean, you don't let your little kids, have a snack until their toys are picked up. Like you don't let
yeah,
them come to dinner, or well, dinner they probably don't want to, but you don't
yeah.
let them play on their tablet or watch screen time until they've tidied for 5 minutes. That's like a non-negotiable. Like, sorry, that's a family rule. We do not let the mess go till the weekend because there's no way that then you're catching up. It's a lot easier to stay caught up than it is to catch up. So every day it's like you don't get a snack, you don't get screen time till you've tidied up your space. It will
Yeah.
never be overwhelming and it will always stay tidy. And that's
How
just teaching a life skill.
how about toys? Like I've got young children, they like their toys and they struggle to let go. So there's toys that they hardly play with, but they still want there
Yes.
to be in their room and not put away completely and things. So you talk about the 21, program that
Item
you
toss. Yeah.
discussed. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So there's three decluttering techniques, works for children or it works for adults too. Because
yeah,
first of all, we have to teach our kids to let go because it's part of life, or we'll have adults who will be like holding on to every piece of paper and think it's special. We have to teach them that decluttering is just normal. So here we have a few different ways that we can do it. The first way is called toy rotation, which means you pack up half of their toys and then you rotate toys out and then you see, oh, they hardly ever play with that. Then that goes back into toy rotation, but you don't rotate it out. After 6 months, you just let it go. But that's not really teaching, is it? So that's one technique that a lot of organizing experts use, but it's not really teaching kids to let go. Another approach that I prefer is you as a parent kind of know what they're not playing with. You put it all in a box to donate. Then you invite your child to see if there's anything in the box that they would like to keep. So you say, these are all the things we're going to donate to other little boys and girls that don't have a lot of toys to make more room so it's easier for you to play. Is there anything in here, though, that's really special? Your child will 100% pick a few things out, but then they'll be okay with the rest going because they don't have to decide what leaves. They get to decide what stays. But you're still showing them the benefits of decluttering. And the third approach that honestly has the most long term effects is you go with your child, they have a box, you say, you are in charge, you're the boss. You get to decide what stays and what goes. Do you play with this? They're going to say, oh, yes. Okay, that stays. Do you play with this? Oh, yes. And eventually, though, you're going to hold something up and they're like, oh, that can go. And you praise.
Yeah.
Good job. You're so good at this. That's amazing. Good job. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. What about this? We never judge. If they say something can go and you think it should stay, you never say, oh, no, we should keep that. That's from grandma. That's reinforcing anxiety about keeping things. We just say, good job. You can pick it out later and keep it if you really want to. Let your children be empowered about their stuff and what stays and goes, and praise when they let go. And you're training their brain that decluttering is a positive experience and they can trust themselves. Most adults who struggle to let go, it's because they don't trust themselves.
And do you think that's the reason why people hoard, like keep things
Yeah,
and struggle to let go?
absolutely.
Yeah.
They don't trust. They're like, what if I make a mistake? What if I need this? What if I'm, is this wasteful? Ooh, I think I can let it go, but I'm not. It's totally lack of decluttering confidence because they don't trust
Yeah.
themselves to make the decision. Yeah.
Or yeah, or I might need it for something else. Like if it's clothes, you might be thinking, I don't want to get rid of it just yet. It might come useful for
But I think you
yeah,
don't need it. That's
yeah,
like that perfectionism. What if I make a mistake? I don't want to do something wrong. Ooh, I better keep it. And what happens is now your house is full and you're living in a giant mistake. You're so
yeah,
afraid of doing the wrong thing that every day now is awful.
yeah,
You're making the mistake by being afraid to make a mistake. So a, we can do the same approach that we do for children is we pack up half of the stuff or the stuff you're not sure about, label it on a box, put it in the garage, put it in storage, put it, I know in UK you don't have a ton of space, but someplace under the bed. And then
yeah,
if you're
yeah,
like, "Ooh, I do need that thing," you can go get it. But in 6 months, if you haven't needed anything, you don't even open the box, you just declutter it. So that kind of gives you that, it allows you to declutter without fear and anxiety, but also builds trust in your decision making. And eventually you won't have to do that anymore. It's like a muscle. It's like we're
yeah,
building our decluttering muscle.
yeah, and trusting yourself and believing in yeah, just like it's the whole letting go. I like the concept that you're not completely getting rid of it. You're just putting it away somewhere. It's still in your house. And then, as you say, if you need it within 6 months, obviously you can still have access to it. Otherwise, if not, then that's it. You can just go. Um,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about yourself. Obviously, you were the keynote speaker at the conference, which was great. I think everyone's fascinated about your story and your journey, and I want to capture that on this podcast before we finish, just about the things that you said to us in that conference. So let's go back to years back. I think that was around your teenage period, wasn't it, when you were quite a teenager? And if you're
Yes.
right, if you're comfortable to talk about it in a podcast, I don't know
Sure.
if you want me to.
Yes.
Yeah, you sure with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So pre-diagnosis. So when did you get your diagnosis of ADHD? How old was you?
I was 40.
Okay, so late as an adult, right? Okay.
Yes.
And if we was to rewind going back to your childhood, what was life like then when you were living with this ADHD that was undiagnosed and unmanaged then?
Yeah. I was crazy. I was extremely hyperactive, extremely impulsive. I did not care about consequences. I was like peel off the wall, traditional hyperactivity, but also combined with like this very rule breaking mentality of I thought the rest of the world was nuts. And this, like, go to work every day in a job that sucks to come home and clean your house and do your things. I was like, that seems ridiculous to me. Nobody's having fun. I don't want that life. I left home at 15, just packed a backpack and was like, I'm going to figure out how to be free and just figure out life and just have fun and do whatever I felt like in the moment at all times. That was a terrible decision. That was terrible. Well, turns out that that's even harder than trying to fit inside society's box. But I mean, I was going to give it a go. And because I was so impulsive and so bad, I had been doing a lot of really negative behavior, even I mean, the first time I shoplifted, I was in grade two. That makes me like what, eight, no, 6 years old, 7 years old. And I started really engaging in these negative behavior things because it was like dopamine, 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 dopamine. Sorry, my dog's going crazy.
It's all right.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think you've frozen. Oh
Oh yeah,
no.
I'm back. Hello.
Okay.
Hey,
Hi, sorry. I
hey.
can see you
Yeah, yeah.
now, hear you now.
Oh,
Um,
perfect. Yep.
oh, I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
Let's And you're definitely freezing. So let's just pause for 1 second and I will um you'll just cut this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. So, yeah, go on,
So
carry on.
yes, I just continued to kind of do this negative behavior and I left home young, realized I needed food, started stealing, started doing like little crime things. Again, not really thinking about long-term consequences, but feeling all the dopamine and the excitement, which led to prison, to be completely honest. So that was a wake up moment for me, realizing real consequences of my actions. I had to adapt, and I got out of jail and never broke the law again. But that didn't mean life was easy. I still was impulsive. I still didn't have a good memory. I still was told my whole life I'm annoying and dumb and lazy, and I really internalized all of those things and didn't have a lot of hope for my future and myself.
Yeah,
So why bother trying? Like, why bother trying? I was just going to fail anyways.
yeah.
And
Did you?
yeah,
Mm,
I think that's, yeah, sorry.
I was just going to ask, was there, were you rebelling against something at that age? Did you feel like you were misunderstood, or do you feel you weren't getting the right help, support that you needed, or what was it on reflection, if you think back to it, what was it that was driving some of these kind of behaviors?
I think it was multiple things. I struggled in school because I didn't have a good memory and I struggled to pay attention. And no one had ever mentioned ADHD. They had just said, all the teachers, everyone, my parents had said, you're just annoying and you need to try harder to calm down. You need to get more discipline, sit still, do your homework, pay attention. So I thought I was a really weak person who just didn't, I was lazy and I didn't try hard enough. And even when I did try, it wouldn't work like everybody else. I wasn't like the other kids. And so eventually, after trying and failing and trying to failing, I really built up this defense of like, I don't care, right? I'm just going to embrace being bad. So that was one part of it. And the other side of me really saw mostly my parents working extremely hard at jobs they hated in factories, dirty, hard work, coming home, cutting the grass, you know, cleaning the house, doing all these home things, falling into bed at night, miserable, not doing any type of fun thing, and getting up and doing it all over again. And they had a nice house, they had a boat, they had a trailer. We went on a vacation every year, and everyone said like, your parents are living the dream. Like that was the dream. And to me, that felt like a nightmare. So I just didn't want to be in that world. And and also because I was like, I'm not trying because I'll fail anyways. I think that was like the perfect storm for just, I'm going to be bad. I'm going to make my own path and it's going to be
Yeah.
naughty, right? I
Yeah.
didn't care.
Yeah. So that was during kind of mid-teens, to then obviously not being diagnosed and go through your kind of early adult years, subsequently diagnosed as 40. What got you through those years, becoming a young adult, and what was the turning point? Obviously, going to prison, from the sound of it, was more of an eye opener, and you vouched and you said to yourself, "I'm never gonna, go on the other side of the law." Was there anything else that was a turning point for you around that period?
Yeah, so I started working. I got out of prison. It was real prison, like with orange jumpsuits and stuff. I was
Wow.
18 at the time, almost
Wow.
19. So it was adult prison with
Right.
women in there. I was the youngest person in there, and I was there. I got sentenced to 1 year and I served 9 months, and it was horrible. And I got beat up all the time. They stole my food. Like it was a really they fractured my jaw. It was a terrible experience. And I left there. I was never going back. But I also was a high school dropout, no real job experience, no place to live. I was homeless. So I had to work really dead end, crappy jobs, and three of them. And I was miserable. And I would come home and I felt like I was living my parents' life a little bit, you know what I mean? Working all the time. But that's what I thought you had to do. And eventually I got fired from a lot of jobs because I was not great at them. I'm not great at things. Um, but I started working this job creation job at a charity called United Way, and they were wonderful. They were doing this Good Neighbors program where they were providing free furniture that was collected to the community for people in need. And this was my was doing while working with them on this government program that was job training program. And I was helping people get beds and furniture. And in particular, this one woman who was going through chemotherapy for breast cancer and had just left an abusive household. She was at the women's shelter. She was getting her first apartment. And I was helping her pick out beds and furniture. And I was crying. She was so grateful. And I was so grateful to help her. I discovered a passion. Oh, sorry.
That's right.
I discovered this. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna
That's,
have to go
that's all
because you
right.
could hear that. I'll be like
Um,
1 second. I'm so
okay. All right.
I have 3 kids and a husband and a very annoying puppy who
All
no one
right.
was taking care of. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. No problems at all.
She's outside
Okay.
now. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Go on.
it was that experience of for the first time in my life, I felt a dopamine rush that wasn't from drugs. It wasn't from crime. It wasn't from, doing bad things. I felt a rush. I felt a high from being a good person and from doing meaningful work. And I became extremely addicted to that. I found a purpose, a real purpose, something that I was good at that felt good. And I think I've been chasing that ever since.
Yeah. And well done for you for turning your life around. Honestly, like what that's something that intrigued me when I heard you speak at the conference, that you're very honest about your journey and how you the transformation in you compared to what you were going through at the time, and for you to then want to then help people out there doing what you're doing with Clutterbug and stuff, which is quite remarkable. And yeah, and that's something that some people might find it hard to even share that story because there's as society, you can be judged and all of that. Did that not ever like occur to you, like to speak to thousands of people at the conference and share your and be vulnerable in front of all of these people about what you've been through
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah. Let me.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
that was my first time ever sharing this story. I'm supposed to
right.
be this organizing expert. I had an HGTV show. I've got
I know.
best-selling books. I remember telling my husband, I was asked, it's scary, man. I told him, they asked me to be the keynote speaker, and I'd really like to share my personal ADHD story, including my past. And he said, don't, you'll get canceled. Like, you can't do this. Like, you're throwing your career out the window. People will judge you, and they won't understand, and they'll see you as a bad person. And I was so scared. I was
Yeah,
so scared that that would happen. And I'm since that, it was such a wonderful place to share it because everyone was so kind and nobody judged. Everyone felt at some point maybe they could relate in some way to that, or they knew someone who was struggling with that. And it felt like a huge weight lifted off my chest. So I'm just now starting to share this story more publicly because of that ADHD conference.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. As I said, that's something that we were talking about. I don't know if you heard people talk, but that's something that sticks out with a lot of people, like how you're very honest about where you came from and to then turning it around to want to help other people and then subsequently getting your own diagnosis of ADHD. There was something quite relatable about everything you said, which in some cases, particularly for TV personalities, you tend not to get
Yeah.
that.
And
You tend to get this image that everything is like they're coming from well-off families, nothing in their upbringing is kind of sticks out or raised eyebrows sort of thing. But yeah, it just goes to show that, these are people like you just like any other person out there that came from the journey you've come from to get to where you are.
yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing. Absolutely, it is. But getting that ADHD diagnosis at 40 was so healing for me because I looked back at that little girl, and she was a little girl, like 15, 16, 17, even 18. I was a little girl, but I was still punishing myself for the stupid things and the bad things that I had done my whole life. And I looked back at myself and was like, how could you do that? That was so awful. Once I got the ADHD diagnosis, I had so much sympathy for her because I was like, oh my gosh, she just needed someone to tell her what was happening in her brain. And there was nothing wrong with her, and she was doing these things because she was seeking dopamine, and because her brain doesn't work like other people, and because she was told she was bad her whole life when she wasn't bad, she just had ADHD. So that diagnosis really gave me, I was able to forgive myself. And I think a lot of people who have teens that are, you know experimenting with drugs or stealing or getting in trouble at school, I would encourage them to maybe talk to the doctor and talk to them about finding the underlying reason why, because I promise you there probably is one.
Yeah,
And if nothing else, allowing that teen to not just see themselves as a bad person who does bad things, who is lazy, who has no self control, but realizing they have a medical condition,
yeah,
it frees them from having to make those choices. I felt like this was the life I had to choose because I had no other options. I had to be bad because I couldn't be good.
Yeah.
That's all there was to it. I couldn't be good no matter how hard I tried, so I might as well be bad. I think a lot of kids can feel that.
If there was a young person listening to you right now, what advice would you give them? Like the 15-year-old you, similar, the same situation as what you were going through, what would you advise?
I would say find a passion friend, learn an instrument. You know what? One of the greatest things I've ever done is do YouTube. Start a TikTok channel, start YouTube, start something like that, but turn the comments off. Turn the comments off, friend, when you're first starting, because it's a
Yeah.
nasty world. But there's something really thrilling about putting yourself out there, being yourself, hopefully helping someone else or connecting with other human beings in the whole big wide world that fills that void. It gives us that little rush, but in a positive way. So I would say if you want to be a gamer on YouTube and make Minecraft videos, do that. You don't have to be successful. You just have to do it because it's fun and it's positive and it fills you up. Turn the comments off or learn
Yeah.
an instrument or join the play at school. Put yourself out there and try different things because when you find a passion in something you're good at, we no longer have to choose being bad.
Um, yeah, well said. I 100% agree with everything you said there, and thanks for sharing your story. Finally, how do you see the relationship between mental well-being and getting organizing your living space?
Sorry, you cut out there. Could you repeat that again?
Oh, sorry. I was just asking, how do you see the relationship between mental well-being and getting organized? All the things that we were discussing before, like decluttering and stuff, particularly for those with ADHD.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand because it's like they're so intertwined because your environment affects your mental health and your mental health affects your environment. And for me, it's a lot easier to grab a trash bag and tidy this than it is to try to fix this in one day. This takes time to change your mindset shift. But the beautiful thing is when you focus on your environment, that's also changing up here. It's shifting your mindset about yourself. And when I got my house under control, I had more time, I had less stress, I had more peace of mind, I had more self confidence. And I started seeing my finances improve, my relationships improved, every aspect of my life improved. And the most important thing was I loved myself more. I didn't I didn't hate myself
Yeah.
because the state of your home, whether you know it or not, it's causing you to be really mean to yourself.
Mm, yeah. To the point where I find the whole decluttering, I think some people are quite good at decluttering when they're moving house. I think you're quite ruthless with, okay,
Yeah.
what goes and what stays and we get rid of and stuff. But after that, particularly some people have been in the same house for like 20 years, you build habits and patterns, and yeah, it can be hard to shift from your mindset to go, right, okay, walk in each room and
It's
see
hard.
what we need to keep and all of that.
So here's something you can do as an ADHDer. The reason we're so good at decluttering when we're moving is because we have a deadline and pressure.
Yeah,
And when we put pressure and a deadline, we get motivated. So find a local charity shop that picks up from you and schedule that day 2 weeks from now. Like that charity's coming to your house to pick up your donations on Saturday. So then you've given yourself a deadline. You will get motivated or rent a dumpster. I think you call it a tip
yeah,
I don't know what you
yeah, we
call
do.
it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So rent that for 1 or 2 days and give yourself permission to throw away good stuff. It doesn't matter if that can be donated. You are in survival mode. This is about just radically reducing the inventory, the stuff in your home so that your life is better. And I am giving you permission if you don't have the capabilities at this moment in time to make sure everything's recycled or donated, it's okay to just get it out. Start fresh and go from there, being a more mindful person about what you're bringing in and what you're going to donate and how you recycle. But sometimes we just need to rip off the band aid. And that's no judgment.
Yeah.
Everyone, I give you permission to just throw it out.
Yeah. Get rid of it. If you're not using it for more than 6 months, get rid of it. Yeah. I think I've learned a few things there from you, even for myself. So I shall be taking that home and I'll let you know how that goes. Um, for people that want to find out more about you, do you want to tell us your social media handles and website?
Yeah, so you can go to clutterbug.com. You can search Clutterbug on Google too, and you'll see my Instagram, my website, you'll see my YouTube channel, and I give lots of free organizing advice and tutorials and videos. So hopefully you can also take the free quiz and discover your organizing style. I don't even ask for your email. There's no pressure. Just go
Yeah.
to clutterbug.com and you can
Yeah.
take that free quiz and discover your personal organizing style.
Sorry, I think there was a bit of a delay right there. Um, so thanks for that, and yeah, thanks for your time and really really useful tips and things that we've spoken about today. And I think we should yeah. So anyone can reach out to you. So people from the UK, anywhere in the world, if they want to kind of find out from you or get some support and tips and advice.
Yeah, anywhere in
Yeah,
the world, come
yeah,
come join the community.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Lastly, any meetings, conferences you going to this year? Or presenting at.
No, I don't know. I'm definitely going back to the next like Chad ADHD conference. I feel like I found my people there, man. There were so many weirdos all together, and I was like, yay, all
Yeah,
day
yeah,
I mask my weird. And so
right.
I'm just excited to be more part of like be part of the ADHD community where people who are just themselves and it's beautifully liberating.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. I'll be there as well. So it's in California this time, isn't it? So yeah, shall be
Yes.
be good to see you over there. Um, do you want to listen to the podcast before we put it out? Once we
No,
obviously
I
edited it.
trust you.
Oh, okay. All
No,
right. Are you sure?
you do
Even with
you, boo.
the personal things
No,
you've
it's
said,
fine. It's all good.
okay. All right. You might have been trending on the social media because of that.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm embracing it. I've just
Okay.
decided to stop hiding because
Right.
you know what? There's so many other teens out there. That's all.
Hmm.
I hope other teens or parents of teens who maybe have a struggling kid, maybe it can be helpful.
Absolutely. And yeah, and that I wish more people could come out and say stuff like how you know their journeys and struggles. Um, Kath, absolute pleasure having you. And I'll send you the link once we've edited it and it's ready to go out, so you can obviously share it as well with your followers and listeners and things.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Take care. Enjoy your weekend, and yeah, speak soon.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Bye.
See you later. Bye. 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 Bye.